Hi, y'all. Okay, so we're going to talk about my favorite topic, food. I showed you a picture of what I had for dinner. It was a filet, some steamed green beans, some potatoes. There was some bread, I hope, on my plate. If not, I had already eaten it. But you can take that on the trail. It's heavy. I don't know how you would cook all of that in the same way. But not that it couldn't be done, but it's not really practical to take on the trail. So there are some great things that you can take on the trail with you. It doesn't all have to be dehydrated meals. They are an excellent option, but there are some great things that you can pick up from any, local retailer, Dollar Generals, Walmarts, grocery stores, things like that you can pick up to take on the trail that make great meals for you. So those are some of the things that we're going to talk about in today's video. So let's talk about what you need in order to have a meal out on the trail that is fully cooked. So you're going to need a stove. This is the MSR Pocket Rocket 2. This is Billy's brand new stove. We got this for him yesterday. The reason we picked up one for him is I have one, but we didn't want to one person cook and then the other person have to cook, and then we're eating at separate times unless it's something that we really had already planned. So we picked him up a stove so that we could cook our meals at the same time and kind of sit down and have a meal together. You're also going to need something to boil your water in, or cook your meals in. You can do either one of these in these pots. I have the GSI Outdoors Soloist. I've had this for several years now. It's done very, very well for me. Some people cook in just one of these little, this is just a little cup that also could function as a pot. If all you're doing is boiling water, it's great. You could eat out of this too if you wanted to. You could drink your coffee out of this, or your hot tea, something like that. Something that I really like about my Soloist is it came with a little bowl so that I could measure my water. I don't know if you can see this on here or not, but I did make markings so that I could measure out my water. The markings that came in the bowl, I really cannot see anymore, as blind as I am. So I made marks so that I could very easily see how much water I was putting in to cook whatever it is that I'm cooking. There are some things it doesn't really matter if you put a little bit more, a little bit less. There are some things that it matters very, very much. It either is going to become paste or it's going to be very, very soupy. So if you're that hungry, I guess it doesn't matter. But, one of the good things about being out on the trail, camping, backpacking is, you want to be comfortable. If you're not comfortable, or you're not having a good time, or you're not eating half decent, you're not going to want to stay out there. And then you're going to have that bad taste in your mouth and you may not go back out. So try to make yourself as comfortable as possible out on the trail, and chances are you're more likely to go back out and do it again. Even if it's raining, even if the wind is blowing, even if it's cold, there's something that's going to keep you going back out. And if it's a decent meal, then make sure you have a decent meal while you're out there. So the first thing that I want to talk about is something that you can get at almost any store that you come into, and these are Knorr sides. You have your rice sides and you have your pasta sides. So these are at Walmart only $1, and they come in a variety of flavors. Walmart probably has the biggest selection of these that I have seen, but your Publix and your Kroger's and things like that will have selections as well, and it really depends on your unique taste as to what you like and don't like. I got some cheesy bacon macaroni and some cheddar broccoli rice. And those are the two that I want to try before going out and making sure it's something that I actually like before I go out. The money part, money's always, important, but at $1 a bag, you can taste these, try these out, and determine whether or not you really do like them or not. So what we're going to do is, I thought I'd cook a couple of them for you. Some of these have a longer sit time, a longer soak time. So figured we'd do a couple and cook them and then try them out and see how they tasted. Because some of these I've never tasted. The broccoli cheddar rice I've tried before. I love it. I'm not even going to try that one. but the cheesy bacon macaroni I've never had. But you know, how can you go wrong with macaroni and cheese with bacon in it? I don't see where that's going to be a fail at all. There's some other things that I've gotten that I want to try. Idahoan has some soups out now, and this one is a loaded potato soup. The package is really, really big, and it's going to cook a lot of soup. But the great thing about buying stuff like this is you can actually pre-package it yourself. You can open it up, you can measure it out, you can put it in your little freezer bags so that you are ready to go. It's going to pack down a lot smaller. You know, you're going to have just your single serving in there for yourself, or your 2 servings depending on how hungry you think you are. And you don't have to carry this whole thing. So that's what we're about to try out. I also got a couple of dehydrated meals that I've never tried, Billy's never tried. So one is the chicken teriyaki and one is the spicy sausage pasta. We're going to try those out to see if we like those to take out on the trail. So when you are doing this, what you're going to do is I have my water here and I have my cup. Let's try the chicken teriyaki rice first. So this one says that you're going to add 1 1/3 cup boiling water to the pouch. So all of these come with a little silica pouch in them. You got to take that out. So before you add any kind of water to it, take this out, discard it, put it in your trash bag. But put my little pot on here. 1 1/3 cup. Alright, so then you turn your stove on. And the great thing about these stoves is they boil water really, really quickly. So as soon as the water starts to boil, we'll just pour it on over there. And we'll go on to the next one so that we are letting these sit and soak and rehydrate, and we'll talk about some of the others. All right, it's boiling. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and get the water for Billy's. Billy's calls for 1.5 cups of water. Alright, so while that's boiling, all you do, you got to stir it. It says to stir it to kind of get everything mixed up. And then you just close the bag. Now, it does say to let it rehydrate for 10 minutes. So you can use your cook pouch, or you can just let it sit. For purposes of this, I'm just going to let it sit. I'm not going to put it in a cook pouch. Billy's is spicy sausage pasta. The water is already very close to a boil. So we're going to let that happen. Okay, so now the water is boiling for Billy's. Woo. I'm going to go ahead and turn that off so that we can talk about the next set of food while this is doing its thing. This is going to be hot, by the way. FYI. I know, it's crazy. Everybody should be shocked. Where there's fire, things are hot. So, all right, so now this is stirred. And all of these, like I said, are a little different. Mine called for 1.25 cups of water. Billy called for 1.5 cups. So I am closing this one. And this one says to let it sit for 10 to 12 minutes. So I'm going to put these off to the side for right now. I have my trusty sidekick that's going to kind of give me an indication when the time is up for mine. We'll get into it, and then we'll look at the sausage pasta. So typically what you do is you wildlife, what can you say? So typically what you do is you open these up after 10 minutes or whatever the allotted time is. You stir them up. You might want to taste, if you have pasta, taste the pasta. Make sure the pasta is now cooked and it's not too al dente. If it is, then you just close it back up and you let it sit for a little bit longer. The good thing about these type meals is when you get to camp and you take your pack off, you know, a lot of times your cooked stuff is fairly close to the top. So you take that out and you can go ahead and get your meal started. Get your water and boiling, put it in there, and as this sits, then you do your tent. So that when you're completely done setting up your tent, putting your sleeping bag and stuff in there, then you're ready to eat if that's what you want to do. It's gonna stay hot. It's gonna stay hot for a little while. So you don't have to worry about, well, now I have to eat cold food if I'm not fully finished putting up camp. So while those are sitting, let's talk about some of the other things. These are dehydrated, ready to go, and they range anywhere from, I think, about $8.50 a meal. You might be able to get some a little bit less than that, up to about $15 per bag. So it might not be feasible. They are pricey, but you know, it's also right around the price for a meal in a fast food restaurant. So you can kind of equate it to that. So some of the other things, one of the really popular things and something that I love too is mashed potatoes. So this Idahoan, this is loaded baked potato. You can put bacon in these if you want to. You know, you have like the real bacon bits that you can get at the store. I like to take those along with us so I can have my grits in the morning with some bacon in it. You can also add them to the different pasta sides, the rice sides. You can take chicken. Like this is typically what I will use, the sweet stew chicken, and as my rice sides, the broccoli rice, as it's rehydrating and cooking, I just throw in some of the chicken, and then when it's time to eat, it's almost like a chicken broccoli casserole. So that is really handy. I will repackage this. This is, for me personally, this is too much for one meal. This would probably be 2, possibly 3. So before we go out on the trail, I will repackage this to have it down into single serve packaging. But let's talk about the mashed potatoes. Now, something I have not done before is freezer bag cooking. So I've been reading a lot and I've been watching some YouTube videos on freezer bag cooking. So what you do is you get any freezer bag. It's very important that it's freezer bag. The regular Ziploc bags will not hold up to the boiling water. So we're going to try that. We're going to try to have fun and see exactly how this works. So, and I'm also going to get to use my food koozie with this. So this should be fun. So this is calling for 2 cups of water. So I'm going to do 2 cups of water in this so that we can have a full bag, because I did not repackage any of these into smaller servings like I normally would going out. What I normally have done in the past is I will, you know, boil my water in my pot, and then I'll just throw my food in here. Like the pasta sides and the rice sides, they actually have to cook for 7 or so minutes. So I've just thrown them in to the pot and I've kind of simmered them down. Now that uses a lot of fuel, and if you're going on multi-day hikes, you want to try to save your fuel as much as possible so that you're not having to carry multiple canisters. It's best to carry, you know, just the one if you can get away with just carrying that one canister so that you don't have all the excess weight. So the water is almost boiling. I am going to use my food koozie for this. Once it boils and you put the water in it, it says it needs to kind of sit for 1 minute. So we're going to see how well that does. And something really neat that I found is dehydrated butter. Now, I wouldn't carry this whole thing with us, but I like butter in my grits, in my mashed potatoes. So repackaging this down to a smaller size is going to be awesome. All right, so here we go. Let's see how this works. It's hot. It's definitely hot. So we're just going to stir it just like you would at home if you're using instant mashed potatoes at home. There ain't no shame in instant mashed potatoes because we've all done it. All right. So those actually reconstituted really, really fast. I'm going to set that to the side. I'm going to close my enclosure. And again, FYI, the bag is hot. The bag is like really, really hot. So what the insulated bag does is it just kind of keeps everything hot. So I think my handy dandy little timekeeper told me that the time was now ready for me to at least stir the teriyaki chicken. But first I'm going to clean my spoon. Doesn't smell terrible. It's not ready yet. I can look down in here and tell it's not ready yet. The rice does not look totally reconstituted. So I'm just going to give it a good stir. And there's mushrooms down in here that you could tell that they're not quite ready either. So I have found on the times that I have used these type meals, the time that it tells you to leave it to soak is never really correct. I'm going to go ahead and stir the sausage pasta as well. This one actually looks like it is much better as far as the reconstitution. But we'll let it sit for another few minutes as well. So with that being said, this has now set for 1 minute. We're going to pull it out. And that is a lot of mashed potatoes. So I will probably end up going ahead and cutting this down as well. Unless it's a night that Billy says, hey, I think I might want mashed potatoes too. So then, you know, I would fix enough for both of us, obviously. Okay, so now we're going to, that's some hot stuff. But very good. It needs some salt. And I will bring a little thing of salt and pepper. But it doesn't need much. And I am going to go ahead and try the powdered butter. I don't think it's going to take much. According to the directions, it doesn't take much. But I found that on one of the Facebook pages that I'm on. Somebody was talking about dehydrated butter, and we like butter, like I said, on our grits in the morning, things like that. And last time when we went to Cloudland, what you saw us on one of our previous videos, we actually brought a little Tupperware container with like a quarter stick of butter so that we could put it in our grits in the morning. And that's not something that's really practical. On an overnight, that's not a big deal, but that's not really practical for multi-day hikes. It's just, you know, the container is heavy, and then once you've used the butter, what do you do with the container? That kind of thing. So that's good. That'll be a good trail meal. So I'm going to put this to the side. In those mashed potatoes, like I said, I'll throw some bacon in there, or I may throw some of the chicken in there. And they will be delicious. So my pot's already cool, cool to the touch. The stove is already cool to the touch. So it doesn't take them long to cool down. But, you know, anything with fire is very, very hot. So let's go on to the next meal. Again, I'm just letting these continue to sit to make sure they soften up. The pasta is ready. The chicken and rice was not quite ready. The rice was still, you could look at it and tell it was crunchy. So let's move on to something that Billy really likes, and I know is very, very popular, and watching a lot of the videos and stuff are the ramens and the soups and that kind of thing. So we found one that's called Naked Rice, and it is a curry sauce and rice. So you wouldn't really carry this with you. What you would do is you would repackage it in your freezer bag, and you know, you just double check the instructions here, and it says pour boiling water to the fill line, stir thoroughly, and let stand for 5 minutes. So what you would have to do ahead of time is figure out how much water is to the fill line. So I'm going to open this up and take a look. Most of the time, it's anywhere from a half a cup to a full cup in these. So what we'll do, just as a test, is I'm going to boil a full cup of water, and I will pour the water in until it hits that fill line. And that way we'll know, so when we repackage the next one, if he likes this, when we repackage the next one, we'll know exactly how much water. And you can write that right on top of the bag. You can put, you know, 1 cup boiling water, and then there's no guesswork when you're out there, you know, oh, how much water did I put in this? I don't know. And then you're left with crunchy rice, which nobody likes crunchy rice. And if you do, let me know, because, you know, you're weird. So we're just going to do 1 cup of water. Okay. You're looking at basically a full cup of water. There's not enough. There, maybe 3/4 of a cup of water to do this. So let's wipe his spoon off. You stir. And then we're just going to let that sit. Now, Billy's sausage pasta is ready. So I'm going to hand it to him. Let him try it. And we will let him give us a review. Again, he's really still not familiar or comfortable with jumping on the camera at this point. But
I'm familiar with eating, though.
But he's familiar with eating. Everybody, Billy.
What am I eating?
This is the sausage pasta. It's hot.
Mmm. It needs cayenne.
All right.
It's not hot at all. Not hot at all.
It's not spicy.
No, but it's really good. Really tasty.
Okay. So the pasta is cooked well.
Oh yeah, and the meat too.
Okay. So the review is that it is very, very tasty. However, he wants more spice. Billy does like a lot of spice in his food. So you are welcome to carry that with you, dear. Just bring me another spoon, please.
I'm gonna fix this.
So he's going to add some cayenne to it. He's going to add some spice to his. He wants some cayenne to it. That is just fine. You know, they make like spice containers. I'm sure you've seen them if you've ever been in Walmart or the camping store or something like that. It's just a big round container. It has salt, pepper. It probably has some cayenne in it, some garlic. If you're going on a multi-day trip and you like the spices, it's worth the little bit of weight. It's probably less than 4 ounces to carry with you. And that way you can actually spice your food up the way you want to. So I'm going to try the chicken teriyaki. Because I don't know that it's going to do much more. Alright, I'm going to try the rice because I still just don't think the rice has rehydrated totally, but we're going to try it. Okay, I was wrong. The rice has rehydrated. It's not crunchy. The flavor is okay. Let's take a bite of the chicken. The chicken, however, not fully rehydrated. You ever had crunchy chicken? I have.
FYI, half a tablespoon cayenne pepper. Really good.
Alright, so he added a half a tablespoon cayenne pepper to the spicy sausage pasta from Alpine Air. And he said that is perfect. So he definitely will be taking that with him on our trip. Again, we're going to tell you where we're going, but not yet. The mashed potatoes was delicious. I'll be carrying this with me. I don't know yet about the chicken teriyaki rice. The flavor is okay. It definitely needs salt, which of course is to everybody's individual taste. But I don't know. It's still fairly soupy. And I added the exact amount of water. And maybe it's supposed to be a little soupy, but I'm just not used to kind of like a fried rice meal being soupy. So I'm going to let it sit a little bit longer. And the chicken is still just a little, it's not right. Let's just put it that way. So I've cooked grits on the trail a bunch of times. I'm not going to cook any grits just simply because I kind of know how to do it. Just keep in mind when you're using the instant grits, it calls for a half a cup of water. A half a cup of water is a lot of water for this package of grits. It makes it very soupy, even with sitting and, you know, kind of thickening a little bit. It will thicken a little, but it does not thicken a lot. So I don't go down quite to a quarter cup of water, but I kind of get it, you know, it's not a full half cup of water. You can always add water to it if it's too thick, but, you know, if you don't have, but, you know, one or two of these packs with you, it's really hard to open a second one, which is what we did at Cloudland, is we just opened more grits and kept stirring and stirring and stirring until they got to the thickness that we wanted. And by the time, I, you know, I had just tasted and just kept trying so much, I was like, you know what, it's just really, forget it, I'm done with breakfast. So that was that. Now, something that I am trying is they have these Rice-A-Ronis and macaroni and cheese bowls. I want to know, because it calls to cook these in the microwave for 3.5 minutes. But all the microwave really does is just boil water for you. So what I'm going to do is, I happen to know that this takes a half a cup of water in order to fill this up to the fill line. So I'm going to try cooking it in the Ziploc bag to see if, number one, how long it takes, or does it really ever get to a consistency and a texture that I would eat, because I do like Rice-A-Roni. So we are going to do this real quick. The half cup of water will not take long to boil at all. So the water is almost boiling for this. I'm going to have Billy try his curry rice.
It needs more heat as far as spice.
Alright, so he says it needs more spice, but
It's curry.
overall,
It should be spicy hot.
overall it's a thumbs up.
What's that? Oh, absolutely. What's that?
This is Rice-A-Roni, and I didn't think about it. I didn't pour it right into the Ziploc bag, so, you know, I'll stir it here. And because I forgot to put it into the bag, I'll do it now. And then we're going to put it into the koozie. So, now, something that I was looking at with the pasta side that I was going to try, it actually calls for a half a cup of milk. Well, I'm not carrying milk on the trail with me. We talked about getting some dried milk to see if maybe we could mix it with water or whatever. But a couple of things that I was reading with the dried milk is it's like refrigerated overnight or with cold water. Well, you can't always get cold water when you're on the trail. You know, a lot of the springs and stuff will be cold. But I guess I will get some dried milk, try it, see what it comes out with just tap water cold, and see if I can utilize that. So I'm not going to do this because it does call for milk. I didn't think about that when I got the cheesy flavor. That the creaminess of the cheese comes from most of the time milk or dairy. So I'm going to hold off on this one. Just simply because I want to try it the way I would on the trail. And I'm not going to carry milk on the trail. I mean, the hike that we're going to do is a multi-day hike at the end of August, in the South. And if you're not in the South in the middle of August, you have no clue how miserably hot and humid it is. Milk would not last for any time.
Sorry.
Bless you. So milk would not last for any time at all. So we're going to say that's a no for now. One last thing that Billy got to try is a Mexican-inspired smoky flavor couscous. So this looks really easy to try. You do 2/3 cup boiling water, stir it, and let it stand for 3 to 5 minutes to absorb the water. So we're going to do that real quick, and then we will say, okay, this is good or this is not good. And that'll be the last thing that we try. I will do a couple of other videos on, this is more of like your hot meal, your hot lunch, that you're gonna basically have to cook to do. You can cold soak things. You can go completely stoveless. There are hikers that go completely stoveless and do nothing but cold stuff. They'll get, little containers, and they will actually do what's called cold soaking. They'll take their water, they'll pour it in to their oats or whatever, and they will basically just leave it in their bag and their pack for a few hours so it rehydrates, because hot water will rehydrate things much faster than cold water will. So it's one of those things that is an option if that's something that you want to try. So we're going to open this. That was boiling. That was what they call a rapid boil. So you pour that in there. We'll give it a stir just to kind of stir everything up together. And then again, we'll stick it in our insulated koozie. The insulated koozies are excellent. At the end of the actual cooking video, I will insert the video of where I made this. It took just a few minutes to make. A lot of people make them on the trail. You'll hear all that in that video. But I would recommend them. They kind of keep things insulated. You see how quick it was when I just threw that in there. I put it off to the side, and then I could do something else. So while we're waiting on that, let's just do a quick recap of the good, the bad, and the ugly. So the Alpine Air spicy sausage pasta, Billy gave 2 big thumbs up as long as he had a little bit of cayenne pepper. The chicken teriyaki rice, I would eat it, but I would not say that's something that all day long on the trail as I'm hiking that I would sit there and go, ooh, I can't wait for my chicken rice teriyaki. I'm not a big, huge fan of the freeze-dried meals. I've had several Mountain House meals, and I just I never cared for them. So I was looking forward to trying like the Alpine Air and the Peak 2 Refuel. There's several different brands out there. I'm just going to continue to try and find one that I like. I think I could get plenty of calories and nutrition and all that kind of stuff from the stuff that I can get from the big box stores. Just going in and getting the different meals. I think I can do that just fine without saying, well, now I have this freeze-dried meal. So I may stick more with that stuff than the freeze-dried stuff. I'm going to try my Rice-A-Roni here in just a second. The soup, I will hold off until a different time because I did not repackage it out into smaller portions before this video. So we will do that at a different time. and I'll do a video of different lunch options that are really, really quick and easy, because you don't typically a lot of times spend a ton of time at lunch. You can, sit there, air out your feet, take your shoes and socks off, give your feet a nice break. So you could do a longer lunch if you want to. It really just kind of depends, again, on your hike and what you're doing. So let's try. Woohoo! Glad there was no water in that. So let's try this Rice-A-Roni. It's not totally rehydrated yet. So this is one that it would take more time. Again, this is the one that it says to cook in the microwave. It's the little microwave cups. So it would take a little bit longer, of course, in your koozie bag. But I'm going to go ahead and try it just to see where it is. I mean, it's not terrible. Definitely needs to rehydrate more. The rice is a little chewy. But all in all, I think that's set for like 5 or 6 minutes. So once it's set for 10 or 15, I think it would be just fine. Would need some salt, of course. The last thing that we have to try is Billy's couscous. That needs to sit for a few more minutes. But I think we're going to call this a successful trial. We've got some ideas on what we're going to take with us on the trail that we're going to be doing. I'll do a video on that trail, give you some more information about it, show you some stuff, show you the gear that we're going to take along with the food that we're going to take. And so I think it's going to be a lot of fun. All right, let's try the couscous. All right, the couscous has been, it's hot. The couscous has been sitting for about 6 or so minutes. So, Mr. Guinea Pig.
Mm-hmm. It's a little dry.
Okay. So we would need to put more water in it.
It's a little dry, but other than that, it's good.
All right, so he's saying that it's dry. It called for 2/3 cup boiling water. So we would put in a little bit of extra water so it's not quite as dry. It looks dry. I mean, looking at this bag, it looks like it's very dry. So, again, that's one reason that you want to try these, in my opinion, at home before you hit the trail. Now, if you're on the trail, and we could do it right now, I'm not going to, but you could actually boil just a little bit more water, throw it back in there, throw it back in your koozie, and wait another 5 or 6 minutes, 2 or 3 minutes, whatever it is, and it would probably be just fine. But to me, I prefer to do my trial and error at home, so I'm not on, again, I don't want to be on the trail and be starving to death, because we all know how it happens. You get out there, you push further than what you intended to, or what you feel like you should have. You're really hungry, and the longer you have to wait for the meal, it's, you just start thinking about it more, and then to come, have something that's super, super dry and go, oh, well, I'm either going to eat it when it's really too dry, or I'm going to have to sit and wait for it to have a little bit more water put in it, reconstitute a little bit more, or just, thin itself out a little bit more, whatever. That's when you start getting cranky, and it can add to the adventure, or it can ruin it for you completely. It really kind of depends on your attitude. So I hope that the video was not too all over the place. I hope you learned a little bit of something. Look for some more videos coming soon. I'm going to do one on trekking poles really soon. I've had a couple people ask me trekking pole questions. So I'm going to do a video on trekking poles in the next day or so. So look out for that. If you have any ideas that you want to see me try, let me know. And we will kind of see if I can do those videos for you. So until next time, get out there and live a great story. If you're starting out fairly early in your hike, There's wildlife amongst us everywhere. So, to stop the video.